In episode 296, Mike Handcock explains how to build a money train for your business.
But the problem and the reason I think, Rose, why people don't do this when it comes to business is what I call they've got their J curve all wrong. So if you think of a J curve, and for the people that are watching this, an illustrated J curve might go like that, okay? Most people at the lower end of the J curve, that's the amount of research that they do. And then once they get a sniff of something, the J curve lifts because they're trying to sell them. Oh, gee, that didn't work. We couldn't pitch them that. Let's pitch them this. Oh, we couldn't get that. Well, let's at least get them into this. That's how they think. Whereas I'm a great believer in, flipping the J curve on its head, which means that it looks like that, which means that essentially, the more time you spend researching, the less you actually have to sell, the less you actually have to talk people into buying from you.
Welcome to Talking with the Experts. This is where we discuss great ideas to take your business to the next level. How do we know these ideas work? Well, it's because we're talking with business owners who are using these ideas. Business owners who have years of experience and expertise. All things business by business owners for business owners. And now, here is your host, Rose Davidson.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. I'm your host, Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com. Talking with the Experts is about all things business by business owners for business owners, and you can find it on all good podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. Now, just want to ask you, have you ever thought about building a money train for your business? Well, most marketing fails dismally because you're probably missing out on two strategic elements that you won't find in any Google search of sales or marketing funnels. In this episode, Mike Handcock will uncover the simplicity of marketing that allows him to pick and choose what clients he wants and closes 9.5 of them in 10 out of them all of the time. And Mike is got an impressive resume. He is one of 38 speakers out of 55,000 globally to be awarded the Certified Speaking Professional Global designation. He has a deep sense of ancient wisdom and has traveled to over 100 countries and has studied with experts in the field of alternative archaeology and esoterics. He is the producer of the feature film Dreamcatchers, which was released in 2010. Previously, he was a high-level corporate senior manager with an annual budget of $250 million. Oh my God, could do with that. My God, I could buy a plane or something. And someone who has personally done business in 50 countries with business leaders. Mike has a superior sense of culture, global issues, trends, business, and undercurrents, which enables him to craft his books and talks full of relevant current insights combined with superior divine storytelling. So he's going to tell us a story about how we can circle our money. Welcome, Mike. Thanks for joining me.
It's a pleasure to be there, and I see a few changes in Australia. Interesting what will be happening in your country over the next couple of years.
Yes, it was a bit of a shake-up politically yesterday or Saturday. So, we'll just see what's going to happen. It's I don't know. A lot of independents got in, which was quite a surprise because they don't usually do so well. So, we'll just see. Hopefully, it's all for the better.
Yeah, well, that's all we can hope for, isn't it? That everything works for the better. But it's lovely talking with you.
Thanks. So how do we build a money train for our business? What's the steps that we need to go through to do that?
Well, I think where this comes from is that, every year until COVID, and we're just about to start it again, we ran a business school in Bali. And I remember one year about 6 years ago, Lundy, my partner, was trying to explain marketing to one of the participants there. And the lady just couldn't get it. She just really didn't get it. And, I think if I said this to a 20-year-old marketer, they'd go like, what the hell? But I mean, she said, just give it to me simply. And Lundy said, your marketing has to be a continual money train. And if one of the carriages comes loose, then your marketing is not going to work. And there's only 5 components in it. And when we looked at the 5 components and we realized how simple it was, we then went straight after that business school and implemented the money train across all of our businesses. And we soon realized that when you implement this, you no longer have a sales problem. You actually have a delivery problem, meaning you've got more sales than you'll ever know what to do with. So the 5 carriages, Rose, and we can talk about each of them if you like, but the 5 carriages are, firstly, is the lead carriage. Now, that means that you have to have a carriage full of leads. But today, in the times in which we live in, people are saying, oh, you've got to go Facebook ads and be on social media and do 7 million blogs and all this sort of stuff. None of that's true unless you're really retailing low prices. For most people who have a service-orientated business, they need a simple list. An Excel spreadsheet will do. We don't use one. We use a slightly more sophisticated system, but you don't need that, with 100 names on it that are in your target market of the type of person that you actually would enjoy to have as a client. And most people have no idea who that is. And then that list becomes a dynamic list that sits with you. People go on it and people go off it. But the second, so that's the lead carriage. The second carriage is anything that, unless you Google us and the money train, the second carriage is something that I defy anybody to find on a Google search of a marketing funnel. And that is the word trust. So just because you have a lead, it doesn't mean that they're going to leap in and buy off you. I mean, every one of us on LinkedIn every day gets some advance from somebody saying, hi, my name's such and such, buy my stuff. Well, they're missing.
Don't you just love it, and you don't even know who they are.
Block, delete, send nuclear armaments towards them, whatever you have to do, right? But you're certainly probably never going to do. I don't know how those people think they're going to do business, but I guess, everything has a numbers game. Their numbers are just different than ours. So,
but it's just the digital marketers, the ones that come from.
No, it's networking. No. That's the thing. I agree that what we're confronted with, Rose, is we're confronted with this from a digital marketing perspective every day, but it's no different than somebody going to their BNI group or to their networking group with their business card going, hi, who are you? Oh, Rose, I'm Mike. I do this and this and this. Hey, we should catch up for coffee. That's exactly the same thing. It's just saying, I don't care a damn about you. I just want to sell you my stuff because I need money. And I think that's the thing here, is that trust is really about building trust with somebody initially, but it's mutual trust. It's 2 ways. It's whether you actually want them as a client. I mean, I think the key to success is being able to turn down more clients than you want to take on, because they don't suit what you're looking for in the values of your business. But trust in the simplest terms is giving yourself the opportunity to overcome all of the objections before they're even asked. If you can do that, then you've built somebody's trust. And then that leads us to the third carriage in the money train. And I'll outline all of these, and then I know you'll want to dig into it and throw it around. The third carriage is something you definitely won't find on a funnel. Third carriage is love. You actually have to have these people fall in love with you before they even become clients. They have to be literally talking about you or thinking about you or going, wow, these guys are great, or, one day I'd really aspire to do business with them. I had a client contact me from New Zealand last week. He's not a client yet, but he probably will be this week. And he said, I've been following you for 10 years and you have no idea who I am. Said, I vaguely recognize your name. I was honest to him. And he said, and I really like what you guys are doing. He said, I want you to consider taking me on as a client. When you sort of have that, it means you're sort of getting the trust and love stuff right. And I'm not saying that we're perfect at it, but love is really about, if trust is about overcoming the objections, love is about really moving into the dating side of the relationship. Then the fourth carriage is sales, right? So this is, most marketing these days jumps from lead to sales. So we have two other carriages in there. And then the fifth carriage is journey. And that is the journey that you're going to take your client on, because most people think that when the sale's done, the journey's complete, on to the next one. So building a money train, it's fascinating. When we first implemented this, we did 40% of our annual target in the next 6 weeks after implementing it. And we've never failed in all the years. We say we're going to turn the money train on, because, we just literally can't deal with it all if we turn it on constantly all year. Nor do we want to be that busy. We don't work Fridays. So, we're at that sort of level of business where we just don't want to be that busy. But every time we turn it on, it gets us 2 or 3 months ahead of where we want to be, regardless of, the last couple of years with the pandemic or et cetera. It still works. So back to you. And what else would you like to know?
That was a really good explanation about what the money train is. It was really simple and easy to understand. So thank you for sharing that. So I guess getting back to the trust thing, and we sort of said about the honeymoon and the you've got to be networking first, and then before you at least say hello to somebody before you're trying to sell them something. How do we educate business owners to, at least shake hands with you first before, they shoving things down your throat?
Well, actually, I don't think that we do. And, that's your and my job to a large extent. So I agree with that. But I think for most people listening to this or watching it, I think their job is to change the way they do things. And once you change the way you do something and it starts working, then people are going to notice you anyway. So you naturally become a beacon of light that people are going to move towards. But I think, if we could change anything, we could say, listen, you don't walk into a nightclub, walk up to somebody who you're interested in, say, hey, let's do it, right? You sort of want to go out for coffee, have some dinner, maybe go away for a weekend together and, start dating and then let it naturally occur. But the problem and the reason I think, Rose, why people don't do this when it comes to business is what I call they've got their J curve all wrong. So if you think of a J curve, and, for the people that are watching this, an illustrated J curve might go like that, okay? Most people at the lower end of the J curve, that's the amount of research that they do. And then once they get a sniff of something, the J curve lifts because they're trying to sell them. Oh, gee, that didn't work. We couldn't pitch them that. Let's pitch them this. Oh, we couldn't get that. Well, let's at least get them into this. That's how they think. Whereas I'm a great believer in, flipping the J curve on its head, which means that it looks like that, which means that essentially, the more time you spend researching, the less you actually have to sell, and the less you actually have to talk people into buying from you. In fact, I wouldn't say it's never, but it's almost never that I actually ask anybody to buy. In our sales process, and I do the high-end sales, we've got 5 companies. Some of them are run by other people, but I tend to do the high-end stuff. And in every one of those, it gets to a position where literally these people say, okay, so what's next? How do we do business together? And I sort of smile and say, do you want me to pitch you something? They say, yes, please. So when you're at that level, then, it's very difficult to lose sales. So, whilst you gave my sales stats, which are true stats in the start of this call today, the reason that they're solid like that is because people ask me to buy from me. And so the only reason I lose sales is when I mess it up, which is occasionally, to be quite honest with you, I occasionally mess it up. So just like we all do, but I think the real answer to your question, it's not about educating people. It's about understanding this yourself, taking a foot off the accelerator a little bit, changing down a gear and navigating around the cones rather than bowling straight over them.
Yes. All right. Well, we've got the trust thing. So how do we build the love?
Well, trust, actually, back to trust for a second. Trust is literally about, things like making people comfortable with you. So sampling is a great way. I mean, all the ladies in their makeup shops, you walk through duty free in the airport, these people know how to market you stuff. Perfumes, you can try it. Lipsticks, you can try it. I mean, there's a reason they do that. They're building trust with you. That's a trust building strategy. Yet we think if we're an accountant or a lawyer or a coach or a consultant, we don't have anything to sample. We have plenty of things to sample. So, sampling is a great way. Testimonials are a great way, but a testimonial written is worth something. A testimonial spoken is worth something, but a testimonial videoed is worth something again. A testimonial where you ring your best friend and say, hey, I just interviewed this guy, Mike, on my show. You need to talk to him. That's the best type. That's really trust building. So there are different methodologies for trust. Love, we believe in love potions, in fact. So love potions are really connecting. It's a heart thing. So if you think about a love potion, it's almost like pheromones. Once you smell your partner, you can't sort of think of anybody else. So it's very much the same. So let's put it in practical terms for the left brain practical people watching this. A one-to-one strategy session with no strings attached. That's one of my favorites. I mean, I probably do 100 to 140 of those a year, depending on the year, where I just give up an hour of my time. I just say, what do you want to know? And then I just help people. And it's fascinating because by the end of that, they go, wow, I often get, wow, I got more in this 1 hour than I've got in years of going to seminars and events and all that sort of stuff. And I go, yeah, but that's just because we've got exposure and we've been around a long time and we're global and, we've got a lot of clients doing a lot of different things. And then they automatically say, so what's next?
Yeah.
So when they say stuff like that, I know that they're interested. But by the way, it doesn't mean I'm interested in them. But that's another question. Another love potion, and this is something I saw an insurance broker do once, which cost him a few bucks. He hired a movie theater. He had, actually the film was Romeo and Juliet. He had put on Leonardo DiCaprio. He did it for the ladies.
What a sweetheart. I would have gone to watch that.
Of course. But you would have dragged your husband or partner along or significant other as well.
Never.
And or girlfriends. And, and from that, this was literally his talk at this. Hi, everybody, I'm such and such. I run XYZ insurance brokerage. I want to invite you to the movie night. We're going to do a few of these this year. Drinks and food is all on me. The only thing is I would like to review your insurances at some stage during the year. I do have your email address. Please give me a chance when I call you. His business doubled, right? It's a love strategy. That's why golf days work more. That's why they say more business is done on the golf course. Why? Because you get to fall in love with the person that you're playing golf with. Yet we move too fast in these days. Take somebody out to lunch. It's another strategy, but it's the old story. I'm a great believer in this. I don't have meetings in cafes. And if anybody listening to this call is having a meeting in a cafe, stop it right now. Because the minute you have a meeting in a cafe, you're making your price point cafe price points. If I ever have to have a meeting with somebody, and I try and avoid face-to-face meetings because they're too time sensitive, I'll meet them in a 5-star hotel. Why? Because the coffee's $1 more expensive, but they have a 5-star experience. So that's what they start to learn to expect to have from you. So
good idea.
Love strategies, just to wrap that up, is really about time and relationship building.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's something I think that as business owners, it's things that you're right. We've got to stop the hustle and bustle and slow down a little bit and take time to let our clients or potential clients fall in love with us and us with them, because you can often get clients that really are nightmares. And you think that they're wonderful, to start with, but once you start working with them, you find out that they're not what they appeared to be in the first place. And
Well, I think that's very true. I mean, we're lucky enough to have not experienced that in probably over 10 years. As a matter of fact, as I sit here now, we do not have one demanding client, and I can't remember the last time we had one. Now, again, I know this sounds very idyllic to people, and it's easy to go, oh, why does he think he's got this? We've just had more exposure than most people. I mean, prior to COVID, for the 15 years before that, I averaged 4.5 times around the world every year, with an average of working in 20 countries a year. So on that basis, I'm meeting lots of different cultures. I'm learning lots of different things. I'm covering lots of different industries. I'm observing lots of people making a lot of mistakes. And, and from that, there's really a couple of key questions that I ask during the sales process. And there's a couple of key observances that I make, Rose, during the sales process that really gets rid of that. And the one or two times that it does happen, that something does slip through the cracks, you've got to have a really stern word to your clients. So the things that we look for manners. We look for timeliness. Like, for instance, I mean, you were very timely, right? So, you were on this call with me 2 minutes before. If you had your Zoom on before that, you would notice that I was on here 5 minutes before. If somebody's having a meeting with me and they're 1 minute late, I'm losing interest.
Yeah,
if they're 5 minutes late, they're not going to catch me because I'm gone. There's 7 point whatever billion people on the planet. I don't need to deal with people who haven't got basic manners. If somebody starts by, what can you do for me? I say to them, probably nothing. That's my response, right? But I say to them, but if you're open-minded to actually answering a few questions, I'll tell you whether I can do something for you or not. One question I always ask people is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you to solving the problem that you've got? If they give me any less than an 8, I don't move forward. If they say I'm an 8 or a 9, I would say, what needs to happen to make you a 10? And honestly, some people come up with really good reasons. Like, I ran over the cat last week and my head's not in the right space or something like that. That's fair. Let's give it a month, right? Or, business has been really crap and I just can't think about this. Okay, would you like some help with that? I can do that for you right now. I can probably give you 1 or 2 tips that are going to bring you out of it right now. That's a love strategy, by the way. So just by going through that process, and the first time, we don't work Fridays. We don't take calls from clients. We don't allow WhatsApps or anything from Thursday night through to Monday morning. So, I'm in Cape Town at the moment. It's 7:54 in the morning. I've already responded to all my WhatsApps that came in over Friday and the weekend. And this is what our clients do. It's like almost clockwork. Hey guys, I know you don't work Fridays, so just get back to me on Monday. But I was just thinking this, blah, 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 blah. Because they're educated to do that. They don't go, you have to get back to me in 24 hours. If somebody says that to me, we're likely not to get back to them. Why? Not because nothing is that urgent. If you're a doctor and, you do brain surgery, then you probably should get back to people in 24 hours.
I think so,
but, if you're in the services industry or something like that, educate your clients right from the outgo. Tell them what to expect them even before they buy, and I think you'll have a great relationship with them. And the minute they get on that, you just close them down. You just say, listen, this is just not going to work for me. So unless you have manners, unless you're able to communicate positively, and, I think we're actually going to reach the end of our relationship with you like super quick.
Yeah.
And don't be scared to say that, because
some people are, though. They're frightened to sack their clients.
Well, they're scared that they won't make money, but they don't realize that these clients are the biggest thing stopping them making money.
Yeah, they're time vampires.
Yeah, but I mean, it's even more than that. It's energy vampires. The minute you do that, you're becoming the beta and they're the alpha. So you're like their bitch, baby, right? So because of that, that's going to show up in all other areas of your life, with your kids, with your spouse, with your friends, with your mother-in-law, all of those sort of things. So, you're going to be 5 years down the track running around being a people pleaser, and your business is not going to have much more money than it does right now. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, gee, he's talking to me, I'm a people pleaser, then just stop it. Change it now. Get some values. Go back, look at your values and live by your values. And, if you live by your values, then you are prepared to do research and you know exactly who you want, and you have a list of 100 of them, so that this week, when 5 dropped out because you tried to move them forward but they ran away, just put another 5 in this week and start nurturing them through the process. So the concept of the money train is really that at the end of the week, you essentially, make sure you've still got 100 people on your list and they're at some part of the journey in those 5 carriages. And, if you've got enough people in the lead, trust and love carriage in that 100, at least 80 of them or 90 of them that you're about to pitch on something, then you're in a good space. If not, you're probably not in a good space.
That's really great advice, Mike. Thank you for sharing. I think
pleasure.
I've learned more from you than I have from all those seminars and workshops.
Very funny.
It's a concept that's worth exploring, actually. I think, because you have put it into quite simple terms and it's easy for people to understand. So, I wasn't having a go. I was actually being genuine.
No, I knew you weren't having a go. I thought you were kidding around. But quite honestly, I'll tell you this, Rose, every single one of our clients, without fail, who have taken on board the money train and have used it, have had amazing results in their business. We've got a client in Cape Town, Rainier, and we took him on in September 2019. So going on for 3 years, and we suggested to him the money train. He had at that stage 6 staff in digital marketing. It's a digital marketing company. They now have 65 staff. Their business is 20 times as big as what it was 2.5, 3 years ago. They're in a stage where we're just currently talking to them about knocking back funding. They thought they might want funding, but we are talking to them about looking at different ways to grow their business now. I mean, that's a very extreme example in 3 years to 20x your business from a solid base. But that's sort of the top end. I would say most people at least double or triple their business.
Yep.
And they tend to get part of their time back as well, which is another beautiful thing.
Oh, yes, because business owners, especially new ones, are always time poor, working too hard, working too long, and little reward for it usually in the early days. So it's I think the money train would be an excellent program for people to take on board and to learn from. Mike, where can people find access to this money train?
Well, in fact, if they go to a company, I'm going to refer them to our American partners. There's a company called WealthFit. If you just Google wealthfit.com and then put money train in the Google search, you'll come across a series of videos that we did for this company just prior to COVID. We were in San Diego in January 2020, and they reached out to us and they said, we want to record some programs. They've got 400,000 students. They want to record some programs for them. We showed them all of our intellectual property, and we've got screens of it. We've got an intellectual property company. And out of all of them, they said they wanted to choose the money train was the first one they wanted to film, and then another program of ours that they really liked. And you'll find the whole program now. I think you can get it for $49. So, or something, it's super cheap. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the price in ages. Otherwise, just connect with me on LinkedIn and follow our journey, I guess, is the other way to do that. But I would recommend that program. It's really well shot. They really build great programs, and everything, the whole A to Z of Money Train is in that program. So you go and have a look at WealthFit and then the Money Train.
Terrific.
Mike Handcock with a D and Lundy Jack.
Good.
No
Okay. And what can they expect to find on the circleofexcellence.biz website?
Circleofexcellence.biz will lead them to all of our different companies. We don't use it. We don't drive traffic to that website at all. It's literally there. It's there as part of our trust strategy. So it's there when people come across us, they hear us at an event, they hear us here, then they'll go to circleofexcellence.biz and go, wow, I can see what these guys actually do. And then from there, they can obviously reach out to us on the site and have a chat with us as well.
So, Mike, have you written a book about the Money Train at all?
The Money Train isn't in a book at this stage. I've written, I'm going to say 14 books. There's 14 published books, but I've lost count now because I've been writing novels. I've been working with Dan Brown's editor on 3 of my novels, but they're sort of, one's been released. It did okay. But the second 2 she's right into now. But we have never put the Money Train into a book at this stage. The only place it truly exists outside of our inner circle of clients is in that program in the US.
Okay, people that are watching and listening, then go and find it and take advantage of it, because I think honestly it's a great concept, and I think we could all learn from it. Doesn't matter how long you've been in business. There's always something new to learn. Mike, it's been an absolute pleasure. I wanted to know if you have anything you'd like to share with our listeners and viewers by way of, a quote or some tidbit of information or something inspiring.
Something inspiring, right? Look, I think there's so many great quotes, and the ones that I like is we are the ones we've been waiting for. So I think that's really an important quote for our time, because, you live in Australia. My guess is that a number of your listeners are Australian. So, Australia's had a really tough time during the pandemic. In my respect, very poor leadership from all sectors of government, not just from the top. A lot of things happened in Australia that didn't need to happen. Stop blaming people, everybody. So, be accountable for yourself. So that's what that one's about. And then I want to leave you one that's actually one of my quotes. I wrote a song called this many years ago because I've been a musician. Actually, behind me, probably about 3 guitars slightly to my right that you can't see. But and that is, these are the good old days. And everybody always says those were the good old days. But actually, every day is one of the good old days. It's what you make it. So even if you've been really adversely affected in the last couple of years by what's happened on the planet, you're going to look back at this time as a time of, where you rose to the occasion, where you decided to do things a little differently, where you finally stopped being a pleaser, where you took control of your life, where you made a difference, where you made your family proud. And so that's why these are the good old days. And it takes just one decision from a person to change their life. Changing their life's not about winning lotto or anything. It's about actually one decision, but that's a topic for a whole other call.
Yes, but it only does take one decision, doesn't it, to change everything?
Absolutely.
It's choice. It's, if you make a bad choice, consequences ensue, don't they?
Absolutely, they do.
All right, Mike, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I've had, I've learned a lot about this Money Train. I'm going to go and investigate a little bit more about what it is and see if I can bring it into my business and see how I get on.
Absolutely. Thanks, Rose, and thanks everyone.
You've been listening to Talking with the Experts, hosted by Rose Davidson. Make sure you have a look at our back catalogue over at talkingwiththeexperts.com. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on any episode. We look forward to your company next time. Talking with the Experts.